Let's do it.
Yeah, I love that. Recording, recording. This is your main man phone. Recording. I'm looking at a red R on my son's Ninja Turtle slippers for Raphael, but a red R also means recording. Alan, give me
So
some
yeah,
checks.
uh, check, check. Does anybody write a check anymore?
Yeah, my wife does for like the mortgage. That's it.
Oh, there you go.
I don't think you can pay with a credit card for that, but yeah, nothing else.
I'm
Nothing
sure
else.
there's some sort of digital way to do that.
I think I wrote a check. I got new tires a couple months ago, and
Hmm.
I think I wrote a check for that. That was like $1,300. So it was better to
Jesus.
just have that out of my system. You know what I mean? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I had to
No,
go.
I
I
get it.
I never actually had a real flat tire before. This thing was
Oh,
flat as a pancake. I mean,
oh
flat.
wow,
So yeah,
wow.
yeah. I pulled into the martial arts parking lot, and my daughters were like, "Dad, your tire's flat." I was like, "Ah, psh, it's fine. It's it's a little deflated." But and then I looked back and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. So
So
it's actually flat.
luckily, I was teaching the little tigers class. The 3 and 4 year old class, and luckily,
Uh-huh.
the granddad of one of my little tigers was a black belt in car mechanics. So,
Oh, awesome. That's always good.
yeah, he fixed me up with a new tire and actually taught me, finally, 36 years into my life, taught me how to change my own tire. So that was cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was cool. Uh,
How to do it correctly, or just like that was the first time you ever changed a tire?
I've never like sought the information. It's never been offered to me. It's always been
Hmm.
like I try to watch the tow guy. Like whenever I've had to change a tire or something, I've always like tried to watch the guy with the tow truck or whatever. Like what's he doing?
Right.
And like half the time they don't want you like watch. They just want to get on with their day, and I don't blame
Right.
them. But like
Right.
no, he was very good about it. He was like, listen, you teach my grandson every week, and you do a great job. Let me teach you something, and you'll be
Yeah,
able to use this next time. I was like, man, that's
that's
such.
awesome.
Yeah, I agree. That's like, I mean, that's how I feel like that's how humanity started paying for stuff in the first place, right? So it's always nice to
Right.
get back to your roots on that
Right.
and pay it forward that way. This guy also recently, this has nothing to do with martial arts or lightsabers. Welcome anyway to episode 38 of the Saber Martial Arts podcast. Um, but final note on this: this guy recently, we had some pretty devastating tornadoes in Ohio. You might have even heard of some of them, but one of them was about 20 minutes from here where he lives, and it took out like his whole garage with all of his cars and hot rods that he works on in it. Like he said, he lost an Escalade, he lost a couple of hot rods, his motorcycle
Ooh.
got crushed. Oh, dude. Oh, so yeah, after all that, he still changed my tire and taught me how to do it with a smile on his face. So, shout out to Grandpa. You know what I mean?
Hey.
He'll never hear this episode, but shout out to him. He's the man.
Or you might.
He might. He makes a handlebar mustache look good too. Let me tell you. So,
There you go.
so Alan,
All right. Yes,
what's
sir.
up with you in the last couple of days? We'll talk about it, but I spoke to you rather recently. But what have you been up to for the last 3 or 4 days?
Basically recovering from long travel, making sure that uh, we try to get back to our normal uh, routine. You can probably hear me like undoing a bunch of stuff uh, and unpacking a bunch of things still. It's just nonstop, you know. So
Yeah,
I
yeah. Well, you
got
just
a
came from a pretty big trip, so
yeah.
give us the 411 on what happened.
So we went to GameX in Los Angeles,
And if you listen
California.
to if you listen to this show at all, as I always say, first of all, thank you, and second of all, you've heard us blabbing about GameX for like
Yeah,
what, like 10 episodes now. So
yeah. It's been a long time running, but we have basically just come back from a very successful trip, where basically we got a bunch of uh, school heads from the Saber community, all in the same Zoom call, at least, and a couple of them in person.
Yep.
And actually got them in the same room, and we talked about, past, present, and future, as far as what we want to do, what the actual, uh, I guess the actual things that we're working on uh, we're going to be. So,
Or
like
working towards even, right? Like,
working towards, yes.
yeah. Um, it was interesting because as far as I know, that's the largest collect, and this is not like I'm not a one upper, but
Sure.
I think that was the largest collection of quote unquote Saber Masters that we've ever
Okay.
had on any show. Um,
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but we had 12 people. That's a veritable butt ton. Um,
Yeah.
especially when you only have 2 hours and everybody's got to talk.
Yeah.
Now, you and I didn't talk very much. I mostly just offered a little bit of, we'll say, elaboration on sort of our relationship with the people who were really talking. Um,
Right.
but yeah, for me and you, it was mostly just a time to sit and listen and welcome these people into what we do,
Yeah.
because like it'd be foolish to think that we were alone in the universe, right?
Right.
So we like to be friendly neighbors. We always have been. We always have wanted
Hmm.
to be. So I think it was a
Yeah.
really cool way to just kind of get the neighbors over for a cookout, so to speak.
Yeah.
And by the way, the people who were on that call, um, you all have a standing invitation to my barbecue, which is
Right.
always open, and Alan knows that.
Right.
And Alan has sampled what we can do. So yeah, you guys are always welcomed, and I know the same probably goes for you, Alan. So you guys give us a
Yeah.
buzz anytime. All 11D7 of you, who we talked to the other day.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I thought it was really cool just to kind of, because these people are known by their people, right? If that makes
Hmm.
sense. They're
Yeah.
known by some people for
Right.
whatever show they might have been on before, or whatever YouTube channel you like that you've seen them on, or whatever. But it was cool because we don't necessarily share people. We don't
Right.
necessarily share students or fans or listener base or whatever the case is. But then we did, like, we really did, like, that's a lot of different groups. Each of those, we had everyone from the UK, we had Puerto Rico, we had a number of different states. I counted
Yeah.
like 6 different states. So it's just
Yeah.
crazy, to
Yeah.
have
I
all that.
mean, it's amazing what happens when you just ask people and you're pleasant,
Yeah.
and trying not to. The best thing about it was nobody was really trying to one up each other, because we were trying to get them to talk about themselves and humble brag a little bit, and a
Yeah.
lot of them were just like, this is kind of what I do.
Well, I
Like,
feel
all
like a
right.
lot of credit was given to other people. The
Yeah.
humble brag, that's what we asked them to do, which everybody
Yeah.
kind of did, and that's not a
Yeah.
downplay. That's a good thing. That's what we wanted. But
Yeah.
also, like, the number of times that people would say, I reached out to this person, or I reached out to that person, or
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
looked at this from this person, and
Hmm.
it just shows that if you're involved in martial arts,
Hmm.
and this is not just martial arts, it's true of a lot of different things, but disciplines, if you will. But for sure, if you're involved in martial arts, a lot of times you can walk into any dojo, as it were, in this case, a Zoom call, but into any quote unquote dojo, and bow in and have a place. And that's kind of
Hmm.
what we experienced with all of those people. It's sort of like everybody kind of walked into the dojo when it was their time and bowed in, and we just had a,
Hmm.
a great little class together. Um,
Yeah.
it was really cool and varied. There's a lot of
Yes.
Chinese influence I'm finding, which is, I kind of expected that because, first of all, kung fu is dope, right? Wushu is dope. But
I
second of
mean,
all, if people follow TPLA, which has
mhm,
been posting on YouTube for a long time, there's a
mhm,
strong Chinese tradition there. But I
yeah,
was surprised at the variety. I mean, we had HEMA
yeah,
practitioners, we had people who did Japanese Iaido, we had Kenjutsu and Goju
mhm,
Ryu, we had, of course, Kenpo and Wushu, and
mhm,
just stick fighting. I mean, Arnis and Eskrima and all these just, and I'm sure a dozen D other things like
yeah,
ballet. Right, that was one
yeah,
of my cool. I that's going to post on Instagram, but I took a quote from Ario from Puerto Rico. Um,
mhm,
he's a ballet teacher. He's a professional ballet dancer,
yeah,
and like in secret, right? Like on the DL, he's practicing with Japanese swords and doing karate, and then all
right,
of a sudden, like his soldier brother decides to give him a buzz and be like, "Yo, you like lightsabers? Like they're doing all the stuff you like, right?"
yeah,
That was a really cool thing to hear for me. And I said that on
mhm,
the episode, but just like to hear that full circle story that everybody on the screen was kind of like resonating with, everybody on the screen was kind of like nodding their heads when he was talking about that. And just
yeah,
the sense that everybody gets of what this quote unquote saber martial arts thing is about, which is mixing the backgrounds, mixing the martial arts, just like regular mixed martial arts. Um,
right,
but I do feel that there is that traditional base to it with sabers. It seems to be
mhm,
that there's that traditional martial artist like base of the non-physical aspects,
right.
you know?
Right. Well, that was the interesting thing, because like everybody has their like we called it their origin story, right?
Yeah.
Everybody had what they wanted the evolution of their next step to was going to be. So that was really what I wanted to get into, was like, what is it that drives you to keep going,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
you won't keep going if you don't have a goal.
Yeah.
You just kind of float around. So what is it that's making you stay? And for a lot of them, they're like, well, we're trying to make something bigger than what we are, and we're trying to create something that will resound in the next generation.
Yeah.
And that was really the
Oh,
coolest part for me.
that really seemed to be the common theme, was that next generation. Like everybody seems to want to focus on bringing kids back into this
Hmm.
activity. And I
Yeah.
say back into because it seems like a lot of people are having trouble, so somewhat myself included, with
Hmm.
getting the youth back invested in it. Whereas it seems like COVID, according to the people we talked to, was kind of the breaking
Hmm.
point for the activity with their children. Um,
Right.
but we talked a couple episodes ago about how important it is to be a good teacher for kids and to have kids in martial arts and to,
Right.
just all the things that go with that. And we didn't even
Absolutely.
cover 10% of what we could cover about that, and we should,
Hmm.
because like that was a really common theme. And I think that when we talk to these gentlemen again, and as you said, the goal is to talk to each one of them individually on the show again.
Hmm.
um, I think the goal is really to see where that common ground is, to where the next generation can meet with the generation that is and was. So
Right.
that
I
was that
agree.
was a profound um, theme within the show for sure, and kind of snuck up on me. Like, of course, I know, and and we all kind of know that like teaching kids is important, but the way that it entered the conversation over and over again, it kind of snuck up on me in a cool way.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very much. I think it's a product of teaching, right? Eventually, you start to go, okay, well, how does this perpetuate itself, and how does this create something that will last?
Yeah.
And that's usually the case. I've found is everybody will eventually go, well, how do I teach this to my kid?
Hmm.
What is it that I
Yeah.
can do to help others learn this? So, which is really good,
Yeah.
and it's a testament to the martial artists
Uh huh. I
that
agree.
showed up. And part of uh, part of the thing we were talking about, which is really neat, was creating community. That was the other thing.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that they want to have community. They need to have community. We want to make sure that if we're doing this, we have people to do it with,
Yeah, monkeys
which
need
is
a
really
troop,
cool.
right? Gorillas need a
Right,
troop. It's
right,
it's just the way that we are wired. Um,
right.
and when you like lightsabers, man,
Hmm.
the wiring really takes over. You want to find other people who like lightsabers because the whole thing about it is you gotta have someone to duel with. I mean, you
Right,
just
right,
do. And
right.
that's largely my biggest problem right now, right? Like I'm out here in the sticks of Ohio, and I can spar anytime I want if I'm
Sure.
throwing fisticuffs and feet, right? But I
Right.
can't just like pick up a lightsaber and go up to Joe the farmer. He's never even seen Star Wars, poor guy. Um I did find recently I did that library activity, that library Star Wars night, and like there is like a little microcosm of nerdery in this small town, and
Well, there you
they
go.
are terrified to come out. So that's been my my focus the last few weeks, around here has been okay. How am I going to get a lightsaber activity going here? And I think the key
Sure.
is, um, at the old dojo I worked at in Delaware, the state of Delaware.
Hmm.
There's a Delaware, Ohio close by, not the same. Um, in the state of Delaware, um, it was really easy to get kids in, whether it was for lightsabers, karate,
Sure.
movie night,
Sure.
whatever, didn't matter. It was easy.
Hmm.
Uh,
Sure.
Here it's difficult,
Oh,
and
wow.
not just the kids, the adults, whoever. It's difficult, and the adults, all they want to do is they want to come to sparring night. That's all they want to do. They don't really want to
Sure.
come to any other training. Some of them do, but they don't really want to. They want to spar, and that's about it. Um, the kids, they like coming to class, but they don't drive. That's the biggest issue with kids, right? Like
Right.
consistency is totally not up to them. Um,
Right.
so
Right.
so for me, it's been, how am I going to do that? Well, my bright idea that I'm going to try is to get the families to do it, because a
Yeah.
lot of people said, and we've said this many times over the years, the lightsaber is the great equalizer. That's where
Hmm.
the adult and the kid can still have a good time training together, right? Like Yoda
Yep.
fought Count Dooku. The adult,
Hmm.
right, size creature fought
Hmm.
the kid size creature. It's just a
Hmm.
thing that you can do. Women can fight men. Old people can
Yeah.
fight young people. Which, as you start to take weapons away and go to bare hands, that
Yeah.
that margin starts to widen, in my opinion.
Right. Well, that's one of the reasons that we have not um, gotten into really like. I know you talked about it before, but like weight classes
Yeah, we weren't
in
satisfied with
dueling.
how it would discriminate in a way.
Right. Because it's kind of it's tough to be like it's tough to go like, all right, well, you outweigh this person. That doesn't with a sword. It's like
It doesn't really
so.
matter,
Yeah,
especially with
exactly.
a sword that doesn't need strength to cut.
Yeah,
You only need
that's
technique.
exactly, and that's really the cool part about doing any lightsaber stuff,
I
in
think
my
that's
opinion, is
yeah. I think. Go
it's the
ahead.
great equalizer.
Yeah, Katie talked about it all the time because
Hmm.
Katie, from San Diego Sabers, and now our tech advisor,
Hmm.
she always used to get frustrated with separating females from the males, or you
Hmm.
know not sparring someone because they were smaller or bigger. It's like it's a lightsaber. Like, it really doesn't
Yeah,
matter. And the thing for me
yeah.
is, we everybody on the call the other day seemed to want to treat the lightsaber like a lightsaber, which I love, right? We
Hmm.
always, that's got to be the number one thing, especially in saber
Yeah,
martial arts. That's it. The lightsaber has to be a
yeah,
lightsaber because that is the martial art, right? Well,
yeah.
when you're doing that, it
Hmm.
like if you're kind of role playing in that way, like when did any Jedi ever get to decide what the Sith they had to go up against looked like? Right? Like
Right.
when did they ever get to like the ninth sister from from the
Yeah.
Jedi games? Like, dude,
Right.
if
Right.
I had to decide what my enemy would look like, it would not be that badass
Yeah.
lady. Like
Yeah.
that was a tank of a lady, and she is tough. Of course,
Yeah.
you can't decide, right? So there's
Right.
kind of that role playing aspect to it, where you go, the lightsaber still can the small person can win, the big person it does not matter one bit. A lot of weapons it does narrow the margin between the weight classes or the gender classes or whatever class you
Hmm.
want to put on it. Um,
Yeah.
Especially if the armor's all the same, or
Hmm.
the weapon itself is 90 to 100% identical. I was
Right.
watching Marina and Matthew in their Doce Pares class. Shout out to San Diego Doce Pares. They
Oh,
post
what's
on
up?
Instagram all the time. They're freaking great Eskrima school.
Hmm.
Um, and like everybody looks different. Everybody's a different shape and size. Like why are
Yeah.
we? But they're all using the same sticks and knives.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah. That's the coolest part about any weapons training. I feel
yeah,
is that because there are certain martial arts that are uh, better for certain body types, right? Like it's very hard for uh, a short, gangly person to be a sumo wrestler, you know. Um, but like so with weapons, it doesn't matter. Like, and we keep on calling it the great equalizer, but yeah, if you're, it doesn't matter how big you are. I mean, yes, maybe your what's it your arm might be shorter than the other guy. There is stepping that you can do. There
sure.
is, footwork that shows up where you can actually mitigate a lot of that stuff.
Or
It's not about
if we're
yeah.
keeping it within the realm of SMA, even just if you decide that you want to start divvying things into the seven forms, then
Right.
right then and there, your equalizer has equalization to it. You have
Right.
sliders on that mixer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very much a great problem to have.
Yeah, yeah.
That you have so many different body types that want to do your thing, right? So
That
that,
seemed
that
to
at
be
least that's
the consensus the other day as well. Sorry, just
yeah.
really brief. That just seemed to be something that everybody was kind of talking about, was like, um, especially within their own communities, like we're trying to get everyone to understand that like you can do this too. All you have to do
Yes.
is enjoy the fact that I'm handing you a lightsaber. Like if
Absolutely.
you take it from me, you're gonna have a good time. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what I'm
Exactly.
teaching you. I think Faisal and a bunch of people had said like they were Ario again, like they're doing Tai Chi, they just didn't know they were doing Tai Chi. They're doing
Yeah.
Yaido, they just didn't know they were doing Yaido. They're doing
Right.
Kenjutsu, they just don't know it. you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That's my point. Is like there is so much out there that uh, there's so much out there to learn. Like my teacher, we used to be in a 1,500 square foot school, and he used to say that, listen, what I teach you here, as much as I do, what I teach you here is about, would be like a fiber on the carpet that would cover the school. There's not enough time in the world for you to learn all the things. But what I'm teaching you is this part of the thing, this one fiber of the thing. And if that's the fiber you like, then great. Otherwise, there's a lot more fibers out there for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it does take a little bit to kind of take a step back and go, whoa, okay, maybe this is another cool thing I can do.
Yeah.
Yet another fun thing I can put uh, on my thing instead of just making it about ourselves, which,
Yeah.
that's okay to do too. But you also have to make sure that if you're going to if you're going to go ahead and show up to places and think that this is your whatever savior messiah complex that you have, that you have all the answers, it's you're going to be proven wrong every time,
Hmm.
every time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a whole another story, right? There's a
Sure.
ton of ways to to look at this and a ton of ways to see it. And I've seen a lot of people kind of become humble once they realize they don't know too much.
Well,
You know.
yeah, I was thinking about that kind of as we were talking to everybody,
Hmm.
because I think it was Matthew Dominguez from SD Sabers who
Hmm.
mentioned that he was the youngest one on the call, and
Yep.
but then one of the older people on the call, Charlie, had
Hmm.
mentioned that he was probably the least experienced martial artist on the call.
Sure.
So
Sure.
this is just one of those, like, you don't know everything. It's
Right.
right there in front of you. The person who's not even been here 3 decades on the earth
Hmm.
has been in martial arts as long or maybe longer than the guy who's been here, what, 6 decades almost on the earth. So
Yeah.
it's just it's kind of it was kind of making me think about, like, okay, well, okay, wow, right? And then
Right.
last night, just real briefly to personalize a little bit, somebody at the gym said
Hmm.
something to me that would have never been said to me by a martial artist.
Okay.
So it was said to me by a fighter,
Sure.
but I make that distinction really quickly. You can be a fighter and also a martial artist. You can be a
Hmm.
martial artist and also a fighter, but they are
Right.
not mutually exclusive.
Right. You
Like,
can be a fighter without being a martial artist.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. And so anyway, so she said something to me that just it wasn't to me, it was to my student, but of
Uh-huh.
course I took that personally. And
Sure.
it was the kind of thing that was just disrespectful, and it was the kind of thing that you didn't even need to bring it up. Basically,
Sure.
she told another person that they could
Uh-huh.
go one round with my student, but then they had to go no more medium rounds or something like that. And, like, I'm sorry, but this girl that I was putting him with, like, there's not a medium round there. She's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Um, and what this other fighter didn't realize is that my student is getting into her own version of a fight camp right now. Like, she's
Yeah.
planning to compete soon. So, like,
Sure.
you don't know what you're talking about, and don't say, in a nutshell, don't say anything. Just go spar
Right.
your own rounds and shut up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, the coach had said the same thing at the very beginning of class. You guys all
Uh-huh.
talk, talk, talk. You don't know
Uh-huh.
S word, right? And
Hmm.
and it's time to shut up and spar. And when you're not
Hmm.
sparring, it's time to shut up and stand on the other side of the fence. Take
Sure.
your breaks on the other side of the fence. And if you're going
Hmm.
to talk on the other side of the fence. But don't tell me you want to be a fighter, or you want to be a martial artist, or you want to be a black belt, or you want to be a this, until you shut up and just do the work. Okay, great. Great. 20 minutes later, right? Uh, this happens. So the point just being, like, first of all, this person who said that, like, she doesn't know that I've been doing martial arts longer than she has even been an idea in her parents' mind. Like,
Right.
so there's that. You just don't say
Sure.
that. But second of all, like, you don't know what anybody knows. So you don't know what
Right.
my student can bring to this other guy. And by the way, like, not for nothing, but she kind of gave him a hellish round.
Right.
And I think she was ticked off that somebody said that she was a basic, you know what.
Sure.
Um
Sure.
and so I think she kind of gave it to him. And it wasn't really his fault. He didn't really do
Uh-huh.
anything. The poor kid.
Okay.
He's just trying to make his way in the dojo.
Sure.
He's just a 20-year-old kid who's a really good kid, and he got kind of caught up in the fight camp mentality a little bit. And I just told him afterwards. I said, "Listen, man, she's my student. I'm her coach. She's prepping for fights too." I said, "If I ask you to go somebody, the answer is yes, sir." And he goes, "Yes,
Right.
sir." I was like, "Man,
Right.
you got it. That's it. You're not.
Right.
That's it, right?" Like, so yeah, you don't know what you don't know, and until you do it, you'll find out. And I think that's what
Right.
everybody the other day was kind of like open to, which is nice
Yeah.
because everybody does come from a different background, very different. I'm
Right.
finding like the way I spar with my students and the way I teach saber fighting is very different
Uh-huh.
than most of the people on that call. But that doesn't make it worse or better. It's like,
Right.
oh wow, there's like these cool. There's things I can learn from the way they do things, and you and I are
Absolutely.
gonna probably discover that in August. I think, right?
Absolutely. That's the plan.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
when we are really, I mean, what we're really looking at, all of us on the call on this call, um, is like the three tenets that I talked about before, which is basic. Uh, you know, we have a sense of combat, a sense of like what is combat to us. You know what I mean? And then what is the actual uh, competition, like the rules of competition, and then what is the camaraderie that we can find within.
Yeah.
So if we can do all of that, that's the plus right there. Because if we're really looking at um, growing a sport or uh, a a conglomeration of organizations, a federation, whatever word you want to use for it, it's we want to create that sort of discourse, right? We want to create the communication and open the floodgates, as it were, to actual collaboration. Because if you don't do that, there's just nothing to do anymore. I feel once that is once you realize that the world is beyond just you, it makes it much easier to get bigger things done.
Oh, yeah. Well, and
And
we're planning some big things. We're not going to talk too
yeah,
much, and we always say that, right? We've been
yeah,
planning big things for years and years, but everybody in the Saber community, it's like this is this infant that we're all rocking in our own cradles, and we're trying really
hmm
hard not to drop this infant on its head because we love it so dearly, right? Like,
right,
I mean, the way that I feel when I see a lightsaber on TV is the same
uh
as the first time it ever happened.
right,
And so
yeah,
like I don't ever want to lose that feeling. I have
right,
lost that. The last like year has been very devoid of things like lightsabers from my life. And I I talk about it on the episode where we came back in 2024. Like
hmm
it's just too much. I can't be without it. And
yeah, yeah,
you know that goes for everything. Like I was talking to my coach the other day. I was like, dude, I need to be able to teach more. Like I don't even care what it is. Like
right,
I need to be in here more. It's for the good of
hmm
my soul, right?
right,
And I think that's what everybody who's ever seen a lightsaber and gone, that you're who we're talking about.
yeah,
You're who
yeah,
a saber martial artist could be. And like maybe you never thought like, oh, I don't want to do martial arts. Like I don't want to wear pajamas and do kata, right? Like
right, yeah,
but Do you want to hold a lightsaber and swing it in the air? Okay, well that
Right.
you just did kata. And I bet you own
Yeah.
some Star Wars jammies, so shut up and do it. Right? It's so much fun, and we want you to have fun. And I think like just the wide array of people, the wide array of geography. It's like it's
Yeah.
almost. I'm over here talking about being in the sticks, but it's almost impossible not to bump into somebody who wants to swing a lightsaber with you,
Right.
right?
Well, it's very much that, right? If we are talking, um, lightsabers, period, they're always somebody's always gonna pop into the conversation. If you are in, a restaurant and you talk about a lightsaber, somebody's always like got an ear going, "Oh, you guys talking about lightsabers?" You know,
Yeah,
it's kind of how it has been and has become, and thank goodness, because that's really that is what a cool time to live in, where that may be a problem. Hey, you guys are
sure,
talking about lightsabers too loud.
sure.
You know, it's like, oh, sorry,
Oh
we'll take it
shucks.
outside, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yeah, but this is a good um, time, good place to be, a good era to live in, because
yeah,
now uh, we even have people that make them for a living, which is kind of crazy,
yeah.
right? I mean, I'm not one of them, but it's really cool that other people are doing that.
Yep, yep.
Um, I I'm lucky if I can get the ones that I have to work half the time. I usually hand it off to somebody else. So
Well, um, I guess we'll just really quickly we'll rattle off the people who were on the call. So we had you and myself, of course. We had Sifu Honeycutt and Sifu Anonymous from TPLA, which is Damon
mhm,
Honeycutt and Darth Anonymous. We had
mhm,
Alon Block and Charlie
mhm,
Cummings, who I guess you could
mhm,
say represent they definitely represent TSL, but
mhm,
Alon, that would say that's the most what he aligns most with. And then we had Kay, who is one of our own, of course.
mhm.
We had Ryan McKenna, who is one of our own, but also involved with all kinds of different people from Saber Light Knights. We had Matthew Dominguez from San Diego Sabers, who also has always kind of been a bit of a wanderer and always a bit of a Ronin, um,
Mhm.
but also now teaching quite a bit within San Diego Sabers as well. And then we
Mhm.
had I said his last name wrong the other day. I apologize for that. But we had Faisal Mian from Silver Sabers Combat Academy in the UK.
Mhm.
I have never spoken to Faisal before. I had
Mhm.
seen him before uh, and heard of Silver Sabers, obviously. But I found him to
Mhm.
be a very, uh, just a very personable guy. So that was cool. I
Yeah.
enjoyed talking to him. I enjoyed talking to everybody, but I just thought, since I mentioned that I pronounced his last name wrong, I thought I should mention that I also really enjoyed talking to him. Um,
Awesome.
we also had Ario Francisco from Puerto Rico Saber Legends, and of
Mhm.
course we had Tony Negron from our very own Aiken Saber Academy. Tony, I mean,
Mhm.
we claim him, but you can't claim Tony. Tony is Tony, and he is a magician of a man.
Yeah.
Did I miss anyone? I don't think I missed anyone. Was that 12? I don't know. Charlie
Uh,
Cummings, I said that. Yep.
yep.
I don't think I missed anyone.
Uh,
If I did, oh my gosh, I apologize. But go back and listen to last week's episode. Just don't
yeah.
listen to me. Listen to that. Um, and how was the con, Alan? Tell us about the con, because of course we would be remiss to not give a shout out to Strategicon and GameX for
Yep.
actually allowing us to do this. So, how was the con?
The con was great. So it's a gaming convention, so there's all sorts of board games. It's 24 hours. There's something going on all the time, um, and it is one of the the most. I'm gonna say one of the best run cons I've been a part of, because everything was very easy. The people that I spoke to and talked to were all about, okay, how can we get this done? Okay, just make sure that X, Y, and Z is done. Okay, you're good to go. Bye. It was very easy going. Everybody was very welcoming. The hotel was great.
Yeah.
The the people were great. There was not anybody that was. It's not really a big cosplay con, but there
Uh-huh.
were live action role playing games that were going on. There were a bunch of stuff for kids. Like my kid was 4, and he had the best time ever, because he was running around and he got to play all these other games that
That's
he
cool.
never seen before. Some of
Yeah.
which were like 4, 5, 6 times his age.
Oh wow.
Like
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Going around and kind of seeing everything too. That's the coolest thing. There's a bunch of love that was put into this, and this is not, this is their second decade or third decade of running this thing, so they know
Okay.
what they're doing.
Wow.
So
Wow. Really?
yeah,
Third decade.
big shout out to Strategicon and their group there. They got a lot of really good people that actually show up and care about what they're doing,
Yeah.
and are totally into it. So yeah, man, this a really fun con. It was about 6 hours away. The getting into LA was pretty insane, but getting out of LA was much easier. Uh, yeah, it was a
Alan,
ton of fun.
getting
Yeah,
into LA was insane. I've never heard such an
yeah,
atrocious statement. I don't
yeah.
even believe it for half a second.
The half the time was spent trying to figure out which freeway was which.
Oh my
Um,
god. I lived in California for 3 years. That
yeah.
is, yeah, like you're 90, no, not 90. You're like 40 minutes from the place, right? Like 40
hmm
miles, maybe 40 minutes. But yeah, you got to plan like 3 hours ahead.
Yeah. It was it
Yeah, it's
was
terrible.
it was an experience. So let's just say that it was an experience. If there was anything really that I would change, would be that more people would be there to swing lightsabers with us. I'm talking to you, the person who's listening right now. Show
Oh,
up.
I
Let's
thought
do
you were
it.
talking to me, Fode, because I felt it. I felt like, man, I really wish I was
Well,
there.
you two are listening as well, so I guess
Yeah,
that does include you.
yeah. No, I mean, and it's true. I mean, that's the way it's gonna. The goal
Yeah,
here is to always be able to do things right together, and
yeah,
um, that was the birth of SMAF was because of our late great founder being able to actually bring us all together, and
absolutely.
that's our mission, to be able to do that again. And we have to a large degree, and over the last few years been able to do that, but more, right? A lot more.
Right.
So here, let me do a little, I don't know, freedom cry maybe, to any listeners. We we have some things immediately that we're working on that we would really like you all to participate in. So first of all, how do I get involved? Keep listening to the show. I really appreciate you listening. Alan, really appreciate that. For right now, a lot of people can only get involved in lightsabers by doing things like watching YouTube and listening to podcasts. So,
hmm
yes, please keep watching your Star Wars shows, and the Acolyte comes out in a few days. Keep listening to this, keep watching the YouTube channels, keep yourself involved. But also, when things like, I don't know, maybe a SMAF Patreon, I don't know, some holocron classes, I don't know, maybe a tournament near you, I don't know, maybe some physical classes near you or whatever. Think about getting involved. Think about sending us a message. I just got an email this weekend from a mom who's looking for some lightsaber training for her son. I don't know if she heard this show. I asked her. I haven't heard yet. I don't know if she heard this show. I don't know if she just was looking online and found it. But somebody found us who needed us. That's what we're here for. And
Absolutely.
we want to be able to do that more. It's not free. We're not asking you to make just donations, and I'm not even doing that right now. I'm just saying when things come down the pipe, think about getting involved. It would help us help you. We want to help you, and that's all. That's the end of that little freedom cry. I just want to let people know that we want to do things for you. I taught a holocron class live on YouTube last week. If you haven't looked at that, go to our YouTube page, and it's linked in this podcast description, and click the live tab. Click the playlist tab. Check out. We have I don't know. I think it's 70 videos or something, 80 videos.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's so much content just on our channel alone that you can look at that's free. So just looking at it helps us to be able to come to GameX again, to be able to come to your town potentially and run a Saber, for you to be able to come to our town and get involved with something, right? So this is the way, and this is the way, right? And so yeah, first of all, it starts with listening to the show. The more subscribers we have to the show, the better our show does. We just found out we are in the top half of the most popular martial arts podcasts out right now, which is pretty crazy.
Hey, that's awesome.
We're halfway to reaching Ariel Hawani's show, which is still very, very far, but hey, I like brass rings to reach for. And so there's that. We have about 1,000 subscribers just on the audio podcast alone, so that is pretty cool. Our YouTube channel is growing a little bit. We'd love for that to get growing a lot bigger. So, part of that is we get to a certain number of subscribers on certain things. Hey, you might have the chance to win something, do something, be involved in something, whatever, benefit from something. Become a SMAF affiliate. Go to sabermartialarts.life. Not even just SMAF. Go to anyone around you who likes lightsabers and see what they're doing. Talk to them. Make yourself available. We're all nerdy. We're all maybe a little introverted. Some of us not. Some of us very extroverted. Go talk to other people. And then of course, actually do something. Maybe go take a martial arts class. Maybe go at the movie theater when there's a premiere or something. Go see if anybody's involved in doing something with you. See if anybody wants to go meet up at the park to do a quick training session or to whatever. Watch an old Nova Star DVD, right?
Right.
It's just I think it's that's a deep cut for anybody who knows. So I think it's just I think it's time. I said this at the beginning of May. I'll say it now at the end of May. I think it's time for everybody to reignite their fandom. We want to help you do that. If you drop a like, a subscription, something like that, it does help us help you. That's all. It's very passive. You don't even need to do anything. You don't even need to take a penny out of your wallet. You subscribe and or hit the like button. That does very good things for us. Leave us a review. Yeah. Hey, man, that's a really good thing for us. Even just tell your friend that you listen to this show and they might listen to it too. These are all just good things for us. So we appreciate it. And hopefully it means good things for you too. So that was a longer freedom cry than I wanted. But I think it's important at the end of the month here to wrap it up with something that means something to everybody, which is, the lightsaber. We want to perpetuate it. That's been our
Hmm.
mission. It says it on our website. It says it on our YouTube. It says it everywhere. That's our mission: is
Yeah.
to perpetuate the lightsaber as a martial art, and also to just have a lot of fun doing it. Like a lot of fun. It
Heck
was so
yeah.
much fun talking to all those people the other day. All the gentlemen on the podcast. I. It's not my fault that it was a sausage fest. It just happened to be a sausage fest. Maybe next year we will have some more female representation. But it was awesome, and I don't
Yeah.
think that really matters in the end. At the end of the day, when you have a
Right.
conversation like that, right? It's just people talking about things they're passionate about, and here we are talking about it again.
Absolutely. I think one more time, if we say it enough times, right, it'll come to fruition. You, the person listening to this, come to Saber Mayhem next year. Saber Mania, as I want to call it, and
Ooh, I
we
like
will
it.
we will have a bunch of stuff for you. What and I'll say it now. I'll say it on the podcast. If you show up, we will have programming for you. That means there will be classes. There means there
Yes,
might be even certifications.
yes.
There will be a ton of things for you to do, just surrounding the art of the saber,
Well,
or
yeah, just the
what
ability
we decide
to
to do.
not to inflate our own heads, but just the ability to pick
Yeah,
the brains of people like the amazing people that we've been able to affiliate with SMAF, even those
absolutely.
who are not affiliated, the ones who we talked
Yeah.
to the other day, that kind of makes
Hmm.
you, you're affiliated small a, right? So
Yeah.
that you know a guy now,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
we love to know a guy, and we want you
Yes,
all
we
to
do.
know a guy. And if you
Yeah.
don't know what that means, it's just a way to say the community thing again. You know,
Yeah.
we want to swing lightsabers with people who also want to swing lightsabers, and man, it's really fun when it happens. And also, we
Absolutely.
want to eat food with you afterwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All
don't
right.
know.
That sounds great.
I think that's pretty much a wrap on this episode. Oh, one thing I can mention, a little tiny spoiler, is we do have. Oh, we're just gotta get it actually up there, but we should have a SMAF store of some kind up soon. Um,
Oh, right.
for now, you can still buy a Duelist jersey, and please do. Alan was wearing his the other day. It looked amazing, so
Oh,
fresh and
yeah.
so clean. Please buy a Duelist jersey. That is linked in the show description. Whether you're on your podcatcher app or on YouTube, that is linked. So if you need to fight in style, or you want to go train, or even if you just like a nice lightsaber shirt, go check out a Duelist jersey. It's official. It makes you a saber martial artist while you're wearing it, even if you're not really before it. You're wearing it. So
Right.
that's cool. And hopefully, our store will have things like some training weapons, uniforms, but
Hmm.
also, who knows, some awesome stuff in the future.
Heck yeah.
Little shout out to anybody who might be a saber smith. Send me a message, sabermaoutreach
Yeah.
at gmail.com. I am talking to
Absolutely.
sabersmiths right now, and I'll just leave it at that. So if you are a sabersmith and you want to talk to me about what I'm talking to sabersmiths about, I would love to talk to you. Sabermaoutreach at gmail.com.
Absolutely.
If you want to take some lightsaber lessons, hit either one of us up. Saber MA Outreach or
Hmm.
Master Venable at phoenixsaber.com, and we will get you hooked up somehow, some way. I just had Alan, somebody you would know. Shout out to Jordan Blankenship. Just reached out to me the other day. Wants to get
Hey,
his
what's up, man?
fandom and saber fighting reignited, dude. Wants to get back into it. So, hey, glad you found SMAF and wanted to get back into it. Shout out to our homie from a long time ago. You will find Jordan on some of our old SMAF content, some of our old tournament content and stuff. So, but anyway, he didn't know he's going to get a shout out tonight. There you go. Look at that.
There you
And
go.
of course,
Well,
check
hey.
out last week's episode. So that's the end of that.
Yeah. Awesome.
I got to bring your own saber. That's all I
Right.
got, Alan. SaberMartialArts.life. Become an affiliate.
Well, this party's over.